Brooks filed new court documents today. Why they say the district attorney is one of the reasons their client should get out on bond. But we begin tonight with developing news in Bartow County, where a Board of Education member is in hot water after social media posts. Good evening, I'm Courtney Bryant.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Tom Haynes. The elementary school teacher called protesters thugs in one post and said police needed to use real ammo on them instead of rubber bullets.
Fox 5's Denise Dillon was at a packed Board of Education meeting where many called for their resignations.
It was a packed meeting, every seat inside the boardroom taken. More people in the lobby and dozens of others outside. Some said the sheer number of people here should prove to the board just how angry the community is.
The community does want termination for both the teacher and the board member.
Calls for the removal of a Bartow County elementary school teacher and a school board member after social media posts. School officials confirmed that during the protests across the country and here in Georgia, a teacher in the school district referred to the protesters as thugs.
We went to protest. Are we thugs for it? This has affected Cass High. We all have looked at this teacher's comment and we have said something about it. And we want to change that. This is very unprofessional.
And board member Terry Lee Eggert posted about how police should handle the protesters. Dexter Benning with the Bartow County NAACP read Eggert's post.
Quote, rubber bullets do nothing. Time for real ammo. Then and only then will this nonsense of looting, attacks on citizens, and destruction of property stop.
Speaker after speaker called the comments disturbing and insensitive.
Why is it okay for her to post something so offensive to a majority of people and her still have a right to teach children?
Behavior like this can impact student achievement long term.
We punish our children for cyberbullying and making inflammatory comments on social media, and I think that the adults in the school system need to be held to the same standard.
The board went into executive session to discuss personnel issues and did not comment in the open meeting.
Was prompted by a news conference by Atlanta's mayor after the shooting death of Rayshard Brooks.
We just felt like the officers were not being supported by their administration.
The sheriff's office said it had previously hired 3 APD officers this spring, and after the unrest in Atlanta received 15 applications from other APD officers.
We don't fill a spot with just a body. We're looking for somebody that's going to meet our community requirements and our law enforcement training requirements.
All incoming deputies must go through a 12-week session with a field training officer like Brittany Doss. Coweta County says most of the Atlanta officers who are applying have some kind of tie to the county.
We don't care what kind of experience you got or where you come from. You're going to do 12 weeks in our FTO program.
The sheriff's office says it's not just looking for warm bodies. The applicants go through a very stringent process. Coweta County says an important selling point for them is strong community support for law enforcement. Of the 15 applicants, we're told that 5 APD officers are currently in the interviewing stage of the process. In Coweta County, Doug Evans, Fox 5 News.
Atlanta fire investigators have released new restaurant on University Avenue. Authorities say multiple fires were set at the restaurant where Rayshard Brooks was shot and killed. A female suspect, Natalie White, was arrested on arson charges last week. Now police think that this man may have much needed information as well. If you recognize him, you're asked to call police. And Brookhaven police have arrested this man for attempted arson, among other charges. They say that Spencer Clean tried to set a marked police car on fire in the parking deck of the town Brookhaven complex on Peachtree Road. Authorities say an off-duty officer spotted Clean trying to break into the car while holding a 5-gallon tank of gasoline and a lighter.
Tonight, Lenox Village businesses are trying.
They tell police that they saw a red pickup truck pull into this parking lot and start coming out of that car and breaking into businesses. Another several shops are boarded up. It's become a common sight this year.
It's sad.
getting frustrated.
Dylan Kreischer would know. He manages the vape store at Lenox Village and says it was looted after police brutality protests a few weeks ago. Surveillance video captured the moment men stole the cash register early Sunday morning. This just days after the store installed a new glass case that was shattered during last month's looting.
Immediately it was like 400. The door now, again, will be about 400.
Take a look around the strip mall and you'll see several busted businesses. Palm Beach Tan, boarded up. Sushi Kiku's front door is too. The owner told me off camera thieves made off with their cash register. And Lenox Cleaners, which already has fewer customers because so many people are working from home, was hit too.
And most of our stuff was taken. A very, very significant amount of things were taken from the shop.
In all, there are 6 burglarized businesses in the center, and all of the owners say they're holding their breath, hoping it doesn't happen again.
Georgia has seen a steady increase in hospitalizations for the last few weeks. These are the latest 4 days. In total, the number of patients has increased by 175, despite dropping slightly on Saturday.
Chief Meteorologist Stephen Chandler with you on.
I have a message for Warnock, John Ossoff, Stacey Abrams, and Captain Dementia. You're not going to steal the election in the state of Georgia with a bunch of no backbone weak knees. And intimidating people to get what you want? Nah.
To come forward.
Time now to talk about our investigators say one of the officers recently graduated from the police academy and the other was a sergeant.
The last state flag to include a Confederate symbol will now be changed.
Police say some of those gunshots actually hit that building, like I said, behind it, and there were people inside of those apartments. They say they're so grateful that no one else was injured, but there were tons of evidence markers out there, multiple shots fired. Atlanta police tell us they're hoping witnesses will come forward. They're also going to be taking a look at surveillance camera footage from the area to try to get more information about where that car, what kind of car, that license plate, hopefully.
To get a former Atlanta police officer out on bond. Earlier this month, while announcing charges in a separate case, Howard described a police taser as a deadly weapon. 6 Atlanta officers were criminally charged after an encounter with 2 college students during protests downtown. Weeks later, D.A. Howard would claim the deadly shooting of Rayshard Brooks was not justified, even though Brooks aimed a taser at Officer Garrett Rolfe. The fallout immediate. After the DA announced Rolfe kicked Brooks after he'd already shot the 27-year-old father twice in the back. And inside police precincts across the city, a number of sick calls. Veteran officers telling Fox 5 the decision to charge Rolfe and Devin Brosnan, who first responded to the call in that Wendy's parking lot, makes most officers fear they could be charged if they have to use deadly force. A brief filed by Rolfe's attorneys before Tuesday's bond hearing is dozens of pages long. It includes arguments such as Rolfe being a long-standing member of the community, posing no...
the virus has mutated. Just like AIDS mutated. Well, Georgia passed this hate bill. Alright? But in the hate bill, it has a provision where it makes it against the law if you do intimidate somebody, like a police officer, fire, EMS. And now they're demonstrating against it. They want it removed so they can intimidate. You're a bunch of morons. What gives you the right to intimidate another person? Intimidation is terrorism, you morons. There's some people that need to read the A1. It does not have a provision in it for intimidation. Intimidation is terrorism.
Call now for free information that may help you get more coverage for less.
But they're upset that they can't intimidate a police officer.
Call the number on the screen now.
They get their protection in the hate crime bill. But they're upset the fact that they can't intimidate first responders and police officers. Grow up! And you act like a bunch of thugs out here on the damn streets.
Right now, you need local news you can trust.
Go to the polls, November 3rd. You're red. Be bold. Not weak-kneed. There's some people that need to read the A1. It does not have a provision in it for intimidation. Intimidation is terrorism.
Call now for free information that may help you get more coverage for less.
But they're upset that they can't intimidate a police officer.
Call the number on the screen now.
They get their protection in the hate crime bill. But they're upset the fact that they can't intimidate first responders and police officers. Grow up! And you act like a bunch of thugs out here on the damn streets.
Right now, you need local news you can trust.
Georgia has seen a steady increase in hospitalizations for the last few weeks. These are the latest 4 days. In total, the number of patients has increased by 175, despite dropping slightly on Saturday.
Chief Meteorologist Stephen Chanley with you on.
The illegal riding they do is just a show, says City Councilmember Dustin Hillis, who has told leaders that a plan to establish a designated place for these young people to ride just won't work.
People are doing it not just because that's what they want to do. They're doing it for the thrill of it. They're not going to get the thrill basically closing down Peachtree, closing down state highways, closing down the interstate at a designated area.
Hillis calls the riding dangerous. He pushed through the city council legislation that also makes it unlawful to take part in the activity by just being a part of the audience, watching or shooting videos. If you are a law-abiding motorist who has been blocked by the street riders, the councilman understands your frustrations, but he says,
Yeah, I didn't know they came up with a new term for protest. Socializing. Nobody wants to think about all these new cases all across the country with protesters, thousands of them, in close proximity to each other. You might want to rethink them thoughts. Yeah, I didn't know they came up with a new term for protest. Socializing. Nobody wants to think about all these new cases all across the country with protesters, thousands of them, in close proximity to each other. You might want to rethink them thoughts.